Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will be learning this floating action button interaction in Figma. This floating action button is usually used for cases like this, so that's why it's already on a design. This design is a tax management app. So let's get right into it. And if you've not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so because I'll be dropping more tutorials like this as we go on. So thank you so much. So I already have my design ready. I have this tax management app design ready, and the button, this is the button we'll be using for our floating action button. It's in a frame, so I just drew a frame and put that in, and also drew another frame and then adjust the frame and give it a 40 by 40 size and a border radius to make it an ellipse. Then we go ahead to add a stroke. Once you add your stroke, we make the stroke a 0.5% stroke, so it's not too thick. And then we add a color to the stroke. We change the color from black to gray. Add a color of gray to the stroke like this. Just adjust and add to your taste, really. And then once you think the color is what you like, you can move on from that and go ahead and add a shadow effect. I'm using Rena UI design system for this because I can't bother with starting from fresh. So once you're done with that, go to Iconify, and Iconify, search your icon and just add. So for this, we'll be using a tax edit icon. So once you see the icon that you want to use, just import your icon from the plugin and center align in your circle. Align properly so it's not tilted, and then you go ahead to change the color of your icon from black to gray. Just adjust like we did for the stroke. Adjust to the color that you want on the color picker, and once you're done adjusting that, you move on to duplicate the circle. That's the ellipse. You duplicate the ellipse with the icon. Once you finish adjusting and adding your color, you duplicate. You make 3 circles, so you duplicate into 3. Ctrl D and duplicate 1, 2, 3. Once you're done duplicating, you go ahead to change the icon to your preferred icons for each of the ellipse. So now we're done here. We have our icons, different icons on it, and then we'll just select all your icons and move into the first frame with the default button, and then adjust the spacing. So we'll be giving it a 16px spacing. Just adjust your spacing to fit, and once you're satisfied with the spacing, you adjust up a bit, like just adjust properly so it's center aligned and it's properly aligned with the default button, and adjust till it fits the frame. And then what you do next is select the 3 buttons as your 3 buttons and give it a 0% opacity. Once you've given it a 0% opacity, click on each of the circles and move behind the frame. That's not behind, move down the frame just as you see on your screen. Just move it down the frame. Once you're done moving it down, you go ahead to rename that frame. So we are going to be renaming it. We are going to be renaming it FAB default. So that's the default state. Once you're done renaming, you duplicate, Ctrl D and duplicate to the next screen, and then you click on the default button and you give it a 45-degree tilt. So it tilts, yeah, the button tilts to the center. And once you're done doing that, you go ahead to move the frames that you moved down on the default page. You go ahead to move them back up one after the other. Once you move them back up, you give it 100% opacity back, so it's showing in the frame. So it's showing once you bring them back from underneath. And yeah, then you adjust the spacing you give it a 16 px spacing, same thing we did on the default page, and center align. Then you move the button, the green button, you move that forward a bit so it has a smooth interaction animation when you animate it. Then once you're done with this, select the frame and rename it FAB extended. You can rename whatever you want actually, but for this I am going to rename mine floating action button extended. And then I'll select both frames and make them component sets. Go to the component panel and then you make them a component set. Once you're done making them a component set, like I did here, I've made it a component set here. Once I do that, I'll just then move to prototype. We know that we're done with this and we'll move to prototype. Prototype, you click on the first default button with the plus icon, you click on it and then connect to the second screen we have. And once you connect it, you give it this value on your screen, so which is on tap because it's mobile. So once you tap on it, it changes to the next frame, and then you give it a smart animate with an ease out value of 300 milliseconds. You go back to the second screen and you connect it back for a smooth transition. On tap, change to smart animate with a 300 milliseconds. Well, 300 milliseconds might be too fast, so we'll give it a 600 milliseconds. We go to the next screen and just change it to 600 milliseconds. You can adjust to fit your animation however you think works best, but for a smooth flow for this, I'm going to be using 600 milliseconds. And once we're done with that, you go to the frames, you click on both frames and you give them a 0% opacity because we don't want the frame showing on the design. So once you give it a 0% opacity, you rename your component and then you come to your screen, your design, because I already have my design ready. So I will just copy and paste the components that I already made the interactions in. And once I copy and paste that on the design, let's preview to see what we've done so far. And here you go, we have a really smooth animation so far, and this works really well. This interaction works for chat screens, tax management apps like this one here, and a lot more. So if you found this useful, like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.